Welcome to Rotowire TV. I'm Heather Ankeny. He's the expert, Chris Liss, answering our fantasy baseball and football questions. Got a fantasy baseball question for you. I'm new to fantasy baseball this year. As you know, you've been sort of mentoring me through this. Keep hearing, buy low, sell high. You hear that a lot in fantasy football too, but in baseball, there's more active trades going on, I feel like, than in football. So many moves in fantasy baseball, yet I cannot get one person to buy low or sell high on any of my players. Talk to me about that.
Well, first of all, you're making really egregiously bad offers that are unfair to the other team, and you're not even taking into account the other team's needs whatsoever.
First of all, before you even answer that, do you think that my fantasy baseball team knows that every time they, talk crap about one of my trade offers, that they're half insulting you as well? Do they have any idea?
I don't take responsibility for the moves you made. I helped you. I'm not taking responsibility for that team. I divest myself of anything to do with that team. But I have helped you from time to time.
Yes.
But, okay, so, we have a radio show at SiriusXM, and a million times you hear all the moronic experts on our channel, including myself, well, not including myself, everyone except myself.
You're definitely not moronic.
Saying, buy low, sell high, meaning, okay, Albert Pujols is struggling, go offer for Albert Pujols. Go trade Edwin Encarnacion, who's got 22 homers, and try to get Pujols, who has 12 homers, and say, hey, my guy's way better than yours, okay? Or try to get Tim Lincecum. Actually, people are really souring on Lincecum, but he did have a good last start against the really hapless Dodgers who were very banged up. But try to get Tim Lincecum cheap. Try to get some good player who's not going to lose his job based on his contract and his prior production. Get him on the cheap, and and sell one of your players that he's done it for half a year, but who knows if that's going to continue. But in reality, that is almost impossible to do.
Why?
Because the guy who owns Adrian Gonzalez, or before Albert Pujols heated up, Albert Pujols, or Tim Lincecum, is so in a hole likely because this high investment that he's made is really destroyed him, that the only thing that he feels can dig him out is those guys bouncing back. And the other thing is he is terrified of trading one of those guys and then those guys reverting to their prior form on someone else's team when he took 80 cents on the dollar, when he got Edwin Encarnacion for him, okay? So this is a problem. In fact, if you want to make a trade, your best bet might be to buy high. It sounds counterintuitive, but the guy who has Edwin Encarnacion feels, great, I've already got 22 homers, 6 steals from him. Even if he goes crazy the rest of the way, I still made a massive profit on my investment, and I'll get a good player back. I'm not saying it's always easy to do. Some guys get attached to those guys too, but you might be able to say, all right, I'll trade you Tim Lincecum for Edwin Encarnacion. Their production to date is ridiculous. Lincecum's been terrible except for his last start against a very banged-up Dodgers team. Edwin Encarnacion has been incredible the whole year, but I think a lot of Encarnacion owners might want to cash him in for Lincecum. And you might be able to get that deal if you're not a believer in Lincecum. And I'm sort of on the fence. I think go either way. So in some ways, it's totally counterintuitive, but you cannot. I've been trying to get Lincecum from this guy all year, and he didn't even want to take R.A. Dickey for him. And R.A. Dickey's been fantastic pretty much the whole year. So it's very hard to buy low on the stars. Now, there's a related topic which I write about sometimes, and I call it buy lowest. Buy the guys who have lost their jobs.
Oh, really?
Buy the guys that are on the DL and not coming back for a month. I mean, those guys you might be able to buy, and it's usually deeper leagues, because usually in a shallow league, 11-team mixed league or whatever you're in, it's not worth it. They're not. But in my AL only league, like I traded for Peter Burgess, who kind of lost his job. I think he's going to be good when he comes back. If he comes back, you don't know what's going to happen. There's injuries, there's playing time changes. He may get traded.
What did you trade? Was it a sort of a parallel move there? Or?
Yeah, I actually kind of sold low too. I traded Lorenzo Cain, who was out, and Jared Dyson to the sort of Kansas City center field situation for Burgess, and there were some other players exchanged in the deal too. But it's a deep league.
Yeah.
It's beyond like what you're used to. It's like really deep players. But the point is, I think that like if you're going to buy low, you got to buy super low, where the guys have given. If you're not worried about the player you're acquiring, then neither is the other owner, and therefore you're not going to get a discount. It has to be somebody about whom everybody's unsure of. Then you'll get a bargain. And I won leagues doing that. Last year I won an AL league because I got Edwin Encarnacion when he was losing his job, and Burgess, those two guys. And they got the jobs and were really good in the second half of my AL only league. And I won because they were almost left for dead. And then you can get a real discount. But if you're trying to buy low on Tim Lincecum or Albert Pujols, yeah, sure, in a novice league, they'll be like, Pujols hasn't done much this year. Okay, I'll trade him to you. Most people watching these clips, listening to the radio, they have the SiriusXM show, subscribing to Rotowire, they're not going to go for that. So in a way, it's easier to buy a guy who's done well because the owner's going to be more comfortable parting with him.
Are you doing an almost dead column for Rotowire?
I do a buy lowest blog sometimes.
You do? Okay,
well, we do it for the New York Times, so I'll just do buy. It's like if I can't think of anything, buy lowest, and I'll find like the 12 guys who have basically they own a skill set in the past. 2 years ago, last year, half a year, they've been good at some point. They're sketchy on at bats, getting a job, a pitcher who's been raked lately. I'll go and say, go ahead and get these guys because their recent past performance will make it so bad or they've been hurt or something that they will truly be acquirable from a reasonable price.
All right, you heard it here. Buy lowest. This is Rotowire TV.